Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move. For today's episode, we are going to show the game here against Las Palmas, and as you can tell, we're not doing too bad at all. So we are in the Europa League spots as predicted and as the board expects. 14 points out of 8 games is nothing too bad, especially considering Barcelona have played 9 and they're on 23 points and they are leading the table by a little bit of a margin there. Real Madrid are on 15 points, so we can actually go ahead of them if we do win today's game. And of course it's very important just to climb into the Champions League spots, which is why this game is so crucial, because we play Las Palmas, who are in 3rd, playing really well. We can actually have a look at the league table season preview and see where they're expected to finish. 13th, so of course they are doing incredibly well. Of course the question is whether they can continue to do it, because a lot of teams start off well and then perform poorly afterwards. But yeah, a huge game. If we do win, we've got 17 points, we could possibly go into 2nd depending on the other team's games. But yeah, it would be really good to just get into the Champions League spots, and if not, at least try and maintain our Europa League spots here. In terms of what happened since the last episode, we did show you the very first game of the season against Real Palmas, and as you can tell, a mixed bag of results. So we lost to Vigo 3-0 after that 2-1 win against Las Palmas. Atletico Bilbao managed to beat once more with 2-0, with Laporte managing an own goal as well. Malaga was a draw, which you can kind of respect, especially because Rafa Mir has managed to score in the 89th minute. And of course there was, you're playing Malaga, so you can kind of respect the draw against them. Against Pamplona, a really end-to-end game, I guess you could say. So we managed to go 2 ahead, and they managed to score after that to make it a little bit uncomfortable. And then later on in the game, Marco Rog punished us once more with a 78th minute goal, but Bakali got us the winner, and we managed to hold on towards the end. Against Barcelona, we got the equalizer just before half time, and then Messi punished us again. So you can't expect any less against Messi. And even though we were at home, we couldn't really come away with any type of result. Against Sevilla was another big win. We haven't had the easiest set of opening fixtures to the La Liga rather. So it's kind of good that we did come away with some points here and perform reasonably well. So Sevilla was a 3-1 defeat. They opened the scoring actually, but we managed to turn around and have a comeback win through Rafa Mir and Santi Mina. Against Eibar was a 0-0 draw, which was a bit disappointing because we should be beating them, but we still are, in a good position in the league, so we can't complain too much just yet. So yeah, let's play against Las Palmas first and see what happens. We do have a number of things to update you on, so let me just do that now. So we did actually send out, we tried to sell both Nani and Negredo because of the ridiculously high wages, but instead we only managed to send them out on loan, but it was good enough to bring in some players who will serve us well. So we managed to fulfill other spots in our squad that needed filling, such as the right back and centre back spots that we couldn't fill before. So we did that with Tobias, Figueiredo and Douglas, and we also managed to bring in another striker in Nilmar. All 3 players are only considered decent players for the league. It's a bit disappointing we couldn't get anyone better, but of course it's better than having to rely on youngsters who aren't ready for the division at all. So yeah, we sent out 2 players on loan. We managed to get 3 back instead and still be comfortable with our wages. We were about 100k under the wage budget, so that's really good to see. And unfortunately, even though it was, we actually had everything sorted for a left winger, the deal kind of fell through on the last day, so we're going to be relying on Rafa Mir, one of our youngsters who's eventually going to become a first teamer without a doubt, but he's just going to have to make the step up from being a player who's used to the 2nd division and actually become a La Liga, in terms of ability. But he's only a backup player, so he's not expected to play too much, but based on recent form, he will feature for us quite frequently. 5 appearances, 6 in total, 1 off the bench of course, 4 goals and 1 assist. 2 player of the matches. He's had a stunning start, and no surprise really. His attributes are perfect for his role, and it's all a matter of trying to turn his potential into raw ability. I think how do I show you that? He's actually our top goal scorer. So yeah, he's proven really important for us so far, and long may that continue. Of course, Bakali is going to be a bit upset, I suppose. I also managed to fill the board's promise of it's actually gone now, but they, as you guys know, I was under supervision really, and I managed to fulfill it, so my job's back to being stable, and the board have offered me a 4-year contract. So thankfully my career at Valencia isn't over, and it's about building on that this season. Anyways, I think we can kick off finally against Las Palmas, if the game allows us, or my laptop really. Alright, so this is the team we'll be going with, and we'll talk more about it once the players warm up. I'd normally expect us to be favourites for today's game, but I guess you know, once the game loads, we'll really be able to tell who's expected to win, who not, and who's not. But yeah, I mean, Las Palmas are good. We've seen it last season as well. It happens in every season really. There's always one team who you don't expect to be performing poorly, or even performing well, such as Las Palmas. They're performing way above expectations, 10 spots above their actual predicted spot, and despite that, you know, I don't see it going on for long term really. I think as the league goes on, it will even out a little bit more, and we'll see more real teams take over, I suppose. Real Madrid actually had a very poor start, as you can see, 2 draws, 3 losses already. And considering they won the league title, it's a bit of a surprise, but yeah, they had a very poor start. At one point I think they were even at 16th in the table, but recent games means they've pulled themselves up all the way here into 4th. But of course we do have the opportunity to go ahead of them, so apparently we're favourites, and I'll see the team talk if that's true. But Las Palmas playing with a very familiar formation and team that we've faced up against before, so hopefully this time round we can punish them, because I believe they beat us last time. So Mir gets a start for obvious reasons. Mina is our first choice ahead of Nilmar, who's a loanee as well, so Mina kind of gets you know, favoritism since he is our actual player. Also, he's better in ability, so it kind of makes sense. Rodrigo is our inside forward on the right. He's left-footed. We do have Piatti, but he's had a bit of a strange start, inconsistent so far. So it is Rodrigo who will be starting today. Parejo, Orellana and Perez is kind of the straightforward midfield. Perez is playing on the left. Santos and Gara are the ones who are going to be playing in central defence. Douglas as well, the loanee, featuring until we can actually get D'Ambrosio back on our side. Ryan is our goalkeeper, and that's kind of expected. He's been stunning for us so far, so I hope it continues in today especially, but of course with other games. So we're not necessarily underdogs, but we're not necessarily underdogs. Sorry, did I say underdogs but not necessarily underdogs? We're not necessarily favourites, but we're not underdogs either. So, you know, I think we can go for a kind of motivating team talk and hope we come away with the result here. We're away from home, so it'll be a bit tougher, but I would also expect us to still perform well. I do have a bit of a tactical tweak that I'm thinking of making. I think when we play on counter, it kind of makes sense to play structured, but I feel like when we switch up our tactic to go into control, I do want to maybe try out the fluid system there, and then obviously in overload we can also try switching to fluid and see how that goes. The difference is structured, you kind of rely on each player to do his own thing, but with fluid it's about everyone doing everything together. Not just fluid, even very fluid, and same goes for structured and very structured. So in that sense, it means when you're in fluid or very fluid, your whole team attacks together and your whole team defends together, and that can be, you know, good or bad thing depending on how you want to look at it. Of course, you have to think about, do I want my strikers defending? Do I want my defenders attacking? That kind of stuff. Do you trust them enough in terms of that? Mina puts a really good ball through to Arena, and he doesn't score. It's not a corner either. I thought the goalkeeper put a really good goal, put a really good save in, but apparently he didn't. And Orellana is not doing too well there early on in this game. So the central midfield on attack role is another thing that I did want to talk about. It's really starting to grow on me the way it plays. I love the shadow striker role. You know, the combination between deep flank forward and a shadow striker role. I love it. It's amazing, really, to be honest. I love how it messes opposition teams up, defenders in particular, of course. But the central midfield attack role is one that it's very similar to the shadow striker role. They're industrious. They'll get behind, you know, past their man. We're going to get penalties, so that's perfect. Hopefully, Parejo takes it again and misses it once more. I think he's the one running for it. I really need to remember to change my penalty taking duties unless he actually scores this one. That's a different story, but I think he's missed his past 3, so hopefully he puts this one away. So what I was saying was, yeah, the central midfielder on attack duty is like a shadow striker. Saved again. I freaking hate this guy, man. Oh my god. 2 clear-cut chances and 1 half chance, and we're yet to open the scoring. Do not tell me that poor finishing is what's going to cost us in this season. Well, anyways, the central midfielder on attack DT is very much like the shadow striker role, but in a deeper position, and that's why I love it so much. It has more of an impact from when you run from deep. It helps take down teams who especially are playing with men behind the ball, that sort of business. So you know, I just really love the role, and I think they do a bit more defensive work, so it's good to see as well. And you do really have to find, just as Orellana proved, someone who can actually finish quite well. I think Orellana's attributes are decent, but you know, you might want to look for someone who can actually finish, because he's often going to be the person who's free on the edge of the box, for example. And there's a bit of back and forth in terms of possession. It looks like Las Palmas are going to be the ones who come away with the ball. Prince loses out to Enzo Perez just as I say that. And Mir is on the ball now once more. Is he going to do anything? Finds Mina quite well. What's he going to go? Is he solo? He's going to go solo, isn't he? Decent shot. That's really disappointing for my players to actually see them perform so well and not actually come up with the result. So Parejo and Rodrigo, both players that should come off at half time. I think we can take off someone for Parejo, but I don't think anyone on the bench is there for Rodrigo, so we'll take off Parejo after that. Orellana as well, apparently having a poor game, but again, no one on the bench for him. I think we'll just take off Parejo after the penalty miss. I want to just quickly check penalties. Is this everyone on my squad? No, this is everyone in today's game. But Parejo is the best in penalty taking, so why does he consistently miss? It's a bit strange, really. He scored his first 4 or whatever and then missed his next 4, really. Either way, I have to keep encouraging the boys to go on. Can't really tell them off, can't really tell them they're doing a good job either, because they're not, again, they're not favourites and they're not underdogs, so you can't really... I learnt that from my last episode, if you guys watched it, where I praised the players for, you know, still drawing at half-time against the team who are supposed to be favourites for today's game, for that game rather, and instant reply, that's perfect. And yeah, everyone got pissed off, so I have to really keep in mind what I say to the players. And I was just about to go into control, so maybe we should keep it on counter. I always forget to change into control during halftime, but that's what I like to do. 45 minutes of counter, 45 minutes of control, and obviously if we need to, you know, if we find that there's about 10 minutes left to the game. What a ball from Mina, he's really growing into that false 9 role. Then I switched into overload for about the last 10, depending on how the opposition's playing, depending on how we're playing. You know, it really depends on a couple of things, but so far good to see that we're 1-0 up and scoring from a chance that isn't even considered to be a clear-cut chance, or even a half chance for that matter, but those are crucial as well. We're not holding on to possession too good, which is kind of disappointing, but as long as we come away with 3 points, that's all that matters with a team that are finding themselves surprisingly in a Champions League spot, which we need to try and push for. We kind of have to be like Sevilla last season round, and try and squeeze ourselves into Champions League spots. Obviously, Barca, Madrid are always expected. Atletico Madrid and Sevilla are the ones who you can maybe try and battle it out with. That's very poor from my defenders. Oh, it's offside. I was about to switch to control to try and get a second goal. We do need a second though, and the more attacking and more desperate Las Palmas come, the better their counter tactic would work. And I'm hoping to see a second goal, but sometimes of course staying on counter can invite the opposition on a little bit too much. I think they've played quite decently, Las Palmas, but I think we've just about edged it in terms of how many chances we've created and our overall play really. Kevin Prince Boateng getting an injury, which is good to see, and he's been subbed off. 80 minutes, and finally we're gonna have some players who are tired. I'll take off Mir for Bakali, maybe he can get another, and maybe Enzo Perez for Carlos Soler to try and solidify things a little bit. Okay, but everything so far so good in terms of today's game as well as the La Liga. So used to playing the Premier League, I keep calling it the Premier League. Also doesn't help how in the game it's not called the La Liga, it's called the Premier Division. That doesn't help either. But yeah, I think as long as we meet expectations in the Europa League, not only when I secure my job, but I can also finally invest in the team a little bit. Our finances are really poor. We really do need to sort out everything in terms of our financial issues. And the board are investing money, but it's pennies. They're literally investing in like 100k every 3 months to apparently help with running the financial costs of the club. And you know, who knows, maybe it does actually help, but the point is we keep still making losses, and I keep reducing the wage budget. I mean, we're 100k under, and I don't think I can afford to go any lower without actually reducing the ability we have in the squad. But yeah, I really do have to look out for free transfers, loan market, that kind of business. We can't afford to actually invest in our own players, and that's kind of disappointing. So we're just going to have to hope on getting through potential youngsters, and you know, when we do finally make money, we can actually bring in leading players for the division. But yeah, just to give you an idea of the type of players we're looking for. It's not my notebook actually, it's scouting shortlist. I shortlisted these. Not sure why Santon's shortlisted, to be honest. Oh yeah, okay. So these three are actually the players we've shortlisted. Sasa isn't a good player for the division, but he does have a lot of potential. So if we bring him on a free, that'd be perfect. He has a contract that should run out soon as well. Other players are Inigo, who also would run out soon, but of course it's still early, so they could possibly sign an extension. But we've got 2 right backs and a defensive midfielder who possibly we could sign and hope that they become first teamers. Well, Sasa in particular, but Santon and Inigo should straight away slot into our side quite easily, I think, especially on the right back spot. As good as Danilo is, he's still a decent player, so Inigo would, you know, take that step further. Also, I don't think either player necessarily asks for too much wages, to be honest. Kind of decent wages that you'd expect for our first team anyways. But yeah, amazing game so far for today, and in terms of when we'll be back, it's always, you know, a couple games down the line. It depends on who we're facing off against. Maybe we'll show you the Spanish Cup first leg, depending, you know, 4th round first leg, because we did so well last year. Maybe we can try and push to do well again this year. But maybe we'll show you Villarreal, for example. I think they're a team who are expected to battle it out for Europa League spots, so I want to kind of show you those type of games as well. Yeah, Villarreal. So maybe I think we'll be back for that Villarreal game. It makes a bit more sense. It's kind of far down the line, but yeah, hopefully by then we'll be better off. Oviedo are relegation. Getafe might be a bit tough. Madrid are obviously tough. Both Madrid teams, especially one is away from home. Levante, you could expect the 3 points. 3 points against Corona, and Villarreal, so maybe we'll be still in a decent position by the time we reach to them, where we can really hope that even if we do lose, we would still be in the Europa League spots. But anyways, I think that's all for today's episode. So if you did enjoy it, then of course please do hit the like button and subscribe for more daily Football Manager 2017 content. And as always guys, thank you all very much for watching.